I'm Lights from Toronto, and I've been kind of just making electro pop music in my bedroom for the past few years.
Hey bitches, welcome to the deep dive on Lights. I first discovered Lights not on MySpace but on Tumblr in 2011. I remember buying merch from the Siberia era, so that's how I remember what year it was. My top 5 favorite songs are probably Siberia, Ice, February Air, Second Go, and Face Up. Valerie Ann Poxleitner was born on April 11th, 1987 in Timmins, Ontario. She has an older sister named Jess. When she was 18, Valerie legally changed her name to Lights, partly because that's what everyone had always called her, and also to get away with using the name in her music, even though another signed band had had it first. Lights was a nickname because her last name is Poxleitner.
Does anyone call you Valerie anymore? Is it all Lights 100% of the time?
All except for my parents, who approve of the name, and in public they'll call me Lights, but they really do like the name that they chose for me. So
Just the parents.
just
Everybody
the parents,
else?
everyone else, yeah.
In August 2008, Light signed a record deal with Toronto-based label Underground Operations and an American partnership deal with Warner Bros. And Doghouse Records. Her self-titled EP was released on July 24th, 2008. The singles from this were Drive My Soul, February Air, and Ice. All of the singles did well, especially in Canada, but I remember Ice being the one everyone was obsessed with in America and like on Tumblr, on like internet spaces, because she raps really fast on one of the verses and it was always a challenge to keep up. And also try to figure out what she was saying. Because for a long time I didn't know what she was saying. Ice was apparently so successful of a single that she released an EP that's just remixes of Ice. It's called The Ice Pack. Very clever title, to be honest. The cover art for the first Lights EP was taken by Lights herself, and she edited it herself too. It's very DIY vibe, which is basically her whole career. Her whole career is she's doing what she wants. Her debut album, The Listening, was released on September 22nd, 2009. Singles from this were Savior, Ice, and Second Go. Yes, Ice was released as a single for a second time because, like I said, obviously that song did very well. Unlike the EP, The Listening had some haters. A writer from NME called it overproduced and stated that Lights had dreadful vocals. That's crazy. Savior was released as a single on September 22nd, the same day as the album's release, but the US wouldn't hear it until October 6th. At this time, Lights was leaving her old label to start her own label called Lights Music Inc. She won the New Artist of the Year at the 2009 Junos. In July 2010, an acoustic EP called Acoustic was released. This EP received better reviews, with someone stating, "When Lights released her debut album, The Listening, in 2009, she almost seemed like the female equivalent of Owl City." Wow, what a throwback, Owl City. A young adult performing cute, sparkling electro-pop with the assistance of a few synthesizers and a swarm of MySpace fans. She also co-produced the album, whose lush, layered sound sometimes put more emphasis on the production than the music itself. This acoustic EP takes the opposite approach by dialing back the instruments and focusing on Light's voice, presenting each song as if it were written for a coffee shop rather than an arena. Stripped of their production, the 5 tracks show that Lights is a fairly talented songwriter, and the 3 selections that also appear on The Listening still fare well in a stripped-down back-to-basics format. In 2010, Lights was introduced to Bo Bacan, the singer for Bless the Fall, and they started dating. Her second album, Siberia, was released on October 4th, 2011. Siberia was a departure from her usual music, incorporating more elements of dubstep instead of the electropop we had heard from her before. This album did very well in Canada. Singles were Everybody Breaks a Glass, Toes, Where the Fence is Low, Banner, and Timing is Everything. She got engaged to Bo in September 2011. In 2012, they got married, making her officially Lights Poxleitner Bacan. In September 2013, Siberia Acoustic was released. I'm now starting to see that Lights thrives in spaces where she can make the music how she wants to, but then go acoustic. I guess to prove that she's talented to the masses. Personally, I loved both versions of Siberia. Then in 2014, she released a new single called Up We Go from her third album, Little Machines. I first heard this song on the ending credits of a random movie starring Drew and Becky from Degrassi. I think the movie was called Kiss and Cry, but that movie made such little impact to me, besides the fact that it was sad when I first watched it. I don't know if it's a true story, like, I'm sorry I'm saying this, but like, I don't know, I don't remember anything about that movie except that it was sad, it might have been a true story, and there was a Light song at the very end. On September 15th, 2014, Lights' daughter, Rocket Wild Buchan, was born. Tumblr was very divided about this name. I will never forget that. I personally thought that it was a cool name. Her third album, Little Machines, was released on September 23rd, 2014. She toured this album until 2015. A year later, an acoustic EP called Midnight Machines was released. It featured 6 acoustic songs that we had heard on Little Machines, plus 2 new songs. Lights' fourth album, Skin and Earth, came out on September 22nd, 2017. Before the album happened, she started working on a comic book that had the same name.
You're here doing, I feel like, a lot of stuff, but mostly we're talking about Skin and Earth, which is your album / comic book that you did for Dynamite.
Yeah.
So how's that been?
Honestly, unbelievable. Like, things are happening that I could have never imagined happening. And it was so much work to pull this project together. So basically, yeah, it's 6 issues of a comic. Each one corresponds with songs on the record, each chapter within the comic. And now it's been compiled into a graphic novel that just came out a couple weeks ago. It's really cool because I'm just trying to find new ways for people to experience music and experience art. And I think the more immersive, the better, because that's the point. You know, if it doesn't inspire you to want to make art, it should at least take you on a cheap vacation. So when you read this book, with the graphic novel in particular, there's QR codes you can scan with literally just your camera, and it takes you to the music right away. And it's just like a fun, interactive experience.
So everything's been out for a few months. How's it been? How's the response?
Unreal. Like I said, like a lot of hard work really can do amazing things that you'd never expect. You're capable of so much more than you think. I worked, 10 hours a page on this comic. There's about 170 pages. And, not 1 minute of it felt like a grind. Like, I just had so much fun doing it. So.
New music was released with each edition of the comic on a monthly basis until the album was released in full. On May 12, 2019, it was announced that she had signed to Fueled by Ramen. This was major because I feel like the scene only had a few major labels and certain bands would forever be connected to them. For example, All Time Low being with Hopeless Records, and then Paramore at one point being with Fueled by Ramen. Then Lights released another acoustic album, Skin and Earth Acoustic, on July 12th with 3 new songs. By 2021, Lights was officially just doing things that made her happy. She began releasing music under the pseudonym Loon. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know how to pronounce this, and there's absolutely no videos of her pronouncing this, but for some reason, Loon has an Instagram, and it's Loon Toon, so I'm inclined to believe that it's supposed to rhyme. A character that had appeared in her Skin and Earth comics in 2017, explaining, Loon is a musician in the Skin and Earth universe. Though she is never actually mentioned, she appears all throughout the comic. The EP, Haha, I Like It, was released by Loon in April 2021. Loon has been dropping singles ever since, the most recent one being in 2025. It's safe to say that this is just another way for Lights to express herself. Going back to Lights, she released her 5th album, Pep, on April 21st, 2022. A year later, a reimagined chill wave version of Pep, titled Dead, was released. But unlike most of her previous work, Pep didn't really get anywhere on the charts, but fans did seem to like it. Her 6th album, A6, was released on May 2nd, 2025. This album was the first to be released independently. It was also the first album where Lights played almost every instrument on and produced every track. About A6, Lights has said, A6 is effectively album 6, but it also represents a journey and all the things that I've learned and gone through in the last 16 years of my career. I can look back and take all the things I've learned through the hard times and the good times and put it into this feeling. It's a very feeling-based record, a self-explanatory look. You look at yourself inwardly and you're able to recognize where all the past things have taken you and being proud of that person. Her upcoming tour, Come Get Your Girl, starts in February 2026. So yeah, Lights is still around making music, being creative. If you want to keep up with Lights, you can do so by going to Instagram and following her at Lights. Go see her on tour! Go support her! She's one of my fave Canadians. And that's the end of the deep dive on Lights.